Checking in with CBS and NFL Network's Nate Burleson. Nate, I know you and your Good Morning Football crew have talked a lot about this young Denver team. You specifically picked the Broncos as one of your top 5 bandwagon teams this season. Tell me a little bit about that. Why are the Broncos number 3 on your list?
Well, there's a lot of buzz surrounding the team. And usually when there's buzz, you got to pull back the curtain a little bit. And being that I've been on teams before that have been overlooked and all of a sudden we saw people hop on the bandwagon, I know how to peel back the layers and see if there's real excitement or if there's just false enthusiasm. And this isn't just chatter. I mean, the young quarterback, Drew Lock, fantastic talent. It's not just him rapping on the sideline, but it's how he uses that arm, how he moves in the pocket, and also how guys older than him look at him as a leader. The wide receiver core. I'm a big fan of Courtland Sutton, huge fan. Matter of fact, make sure you tell Courtland that I need a jersey. Send that to Good Morning Football or CBS. I'll appreciate that. But they also draft the wide receivers in the draft. You know, they got Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamlin. So they have these individuals that are going to start to round out this wide receiver core. And the running backs. I was on TV, and I don't know if I was getting caught up in the Broncos' excitement, but I just blurted out that they'll be the best duo. That you look at what Philip Lindsay, he was able to do and really become a household name from obscurity. And Melvin Gordon, he has a lot to prove. And I've always said there's nothing more motivating than trying to prove yourself and prove your worth. And I mean that with a capital W financially. I know Melvin Gordon still wants to get paid. So for all those reasons, and I haven't even touched on the defense yet, that's why I'm excited about the Broncos.
I mean, that's a ton of reasons to be excited about them, but let's touch on Drew a little bit. You know, there's a ton of hype behind him this offseason and heading into the season. You know, with all that hype comes a lot of pressure. Do you think Drew's going to be able to handle that in his second year?
For sure. He's going to have to. He's casual. He's hungry. He has this very calm delivery, which for me as a wide receiver who would sit in huddles and really pay attention to a way a quarterback talked, what he said, his body language. Even in moments where he got the snot knocked out of him, how he responded and came back in the huddle, I paid attention to all that. And Drew has that. Not to mention, the Broncos have been searching for a quarterback since Peyton Manning left. So he understands that there's pressure that he doesn't even see. Forget about what we're saying in media. Forget about what other teams might be saying about him when they're scouting him. Forget about what the organization is saying about him when he's in the building. There's also this ghost of Peyton Manning. There's also this air that's surrounding every single quarterback that has taken over the starting position for the Broncos since that last Super Bowl. And I feel like he understands that. He doesn't just understand it, he's also embracing that. The way I look at it, it's like seeing a beautiful woman, right? And you go to approach her and you walk over, you muster up all the courage. And then once you get to know her, you realize that she has dated some really good dudes. I'm talking about some guys that treated her well, some guys that treated her with respect, made her happy, even one that at one point put a ring on it, which was a Super Bowl ring. And now she's single again. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna crumble because you're scared you're not gonna live up to the expectations of her past boyfriends? Or are you gonna say, you know what, I'm a new man and this is a new time and I'm gonna make you fall in love with me? That's what he's doing with this organization that have thought about the past players in their position and they just crumbled. Drew's not feeling that way. He's like, you know what? I'm the man. And I know you think I'm sexy and I can rap and dance and throw touchdowns. So I am the guy. I am the guy that's going to take you to the promised land. So that's why I like Drew Lock.
I love that analogy. You hit that right on the head. You know, Drew is still a young quarterback. What do you want to see him focus on during camp and, you know, ultimately improve upon this season?
For young quarterbacks, they usually focus on one or the other. It's a ton of practice and a ton of reps, which helps. I mean, you should always do that. But then they forget about the details within relationships. And the biggest thing that a quarterback can do is over-communicate to his offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers. And if he does that, then talking during a game in the fourth quarter when you're on the road and the crowd is too loud for you guys to understand each other, that's when the off season and the stuff that you guys have done and the time that you guys have spent and the conversations that you guys have had, that's when it really starts to take shape. You know, some of my favorite teams, some of my favorite quarterbacks, and even favorite teammates, we spent time in the off season together and we weren't even talking about football. And for those same reasons, in the third and fourth quarter when it got tough, when it's cold outside, or I'm bruised up and banged, or I'm bleeding, and I really need to find some energy from a different source. My teammate's right there. So I would just encourage him to really go over the top and communicate, whether it's virtually right now with everything that's going on, or if all the guys are in the same place. Get together, put the mask on, come hang out at the house, and let's just talk about life. Let's talk about families, and let's talk about what motivates us. And I guarantee those little things, that helps the team gain chemistry that is irreplaceable.
You mentioned it. A lot of new additions on the offense. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, your guy Cortland, obviously he's been there. I want to hear your thoughts on some of the guys in the receiver room.
Well, I believe the blessing in disguise was Emmanuel Sanders, who I was such a big fan of. It was him being traded to the 49ers, and now Cortland, the court is his, and he can sit there and be a true number one. And because of that, we saw his growth last season. We saw the 1,000-yard season, the 9 touchdowns, and he really started to introduce himself to the world. Even though I still don't feel like he gets enough respect. So this will be the ultimate breakout year for him, where he can finally just say, hi, my name is, like the old Eminem single. But when it comes to these young pups, you know, KJ and Jerry Jeudy, these guys are going to have to come in and play right now. You don't go out with your first 2 picks as an organization and go receiver if you don't expect these guys to make an immediate impact. So I'm thinking Cortland Sutton, 1,200 yards, you know, between KJ and Jerry Jeudy, it's somewhere between 800 yards each, you know, maybe even tap dancing around 900 each, because they're going to need to do that. And because this offense is so well-rounded, think about the wide receivers. You think about the running backs that I've already talked about. And I don't even believe I've said Noah Fant's name yet. And Noah Fant is an absolute beast. So it's going to be a fun season to watch, because they're all so young, so hungry. And another X factor is none of these guys are paid. So like I said before, there's a lot of guys that are motivated, but it's different when a man is motivated by money.
That is so true. And I think we're going to see a breakout season for Noah Fant too. I think it's going to be a big year for him. Now, Nate, I know you were able to catch up with Vaughn this week in an interview with him and T.Y. Hilton and Chris Godwin. How's Vaughn feeling heading into his 10th season?
Vaughn is one of my favorite dudes in the whole wide world. Okay. You know, I'm not afraid to say I got a man crush on Von Miller, just because he's so honest, so transparent. And, you know, we have similar paths. We've been through similar things. So when he talks, I listen. I've always respected him as a player, but more so as a man. I feel like he has this renewed sense of fire. Like he wants to prove that it isn't over. And not just for himself. He keeps talking about the team. Like, just think about this for a second. You know, when we come in the league, we want individual accolades. Vaughn has done that. Pros, all pros. We want money. Everybody leaves college, right, to get paid. Vaughn has done that. He has money. You want respect. Vaughn is respected as one of the best of his era. And I told him that he will be in the Hall of Fame one day. I think the last thing that every player wants, regardless of how those things fall in line, every player wants to win a Super Bowl. Vaughn has done that. He's a Super Bowl MVP as a linebacker. So how do you find motivation when you've accomplished so much already? You find it in the purity and team. And like when I talk to him, that's what he says. He's like, I want these guys to experience what I experienced. You know how powerful that is for a dude to be that unselfish, to say, I once had the most euphoric feeling in the world. And it was hoisting up a Lombardi, getting my Super Bowl ring shortly thereafter, and experiencing something that only few in this world has ever experienced. And I want you to have that. So that's a different type. If Vaughn would have just told me I want to go to the Pro Bowl and I want another contract, I'd have been like, I heard it before. And that's fleeting, because once the season doesn't go your way or you get banged up, then are you still that enthusiastic about what's going on? It can be a rocky road, ups and downs, like it was last year for the Broncos. Vaughn is still going to be motivated because he wants every other dude in that locker room, every other man and woman in that facility, every other person on that staff. He wants them all to experience what he already experienced. So I like it. He's bright-eyed. He seems younger. You know, when a dude dyes his hair, that means, you know, we're we're trying to live our younger days out. And I know this because in the middle of my career, I just went blonde. And everybody's like, yo, Nate, what you doing? I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like a NFL midlife crisis, but I feel young again. So I feel that's where Von is at. He feels young again. And that's terrifying for offenses because Von, Bradley Chubb, them dudes getting out the quarterbacks, it's going to be a joy to watch.
All right, now what are your thoughts on Von's red/orange hair? You like it or?
Come on now, you're talking to a dude with red under the brim of his hat.
I know.
For anybody that's listening, even you, if you just Google Nate Burleson haircuts, you'll see a long list of should nots. Now that I look back at 38 years old, I probably was over the top. Sometimes I look at old pictures of myself and I was like, what was I going through? Was I emotionally hurt? Was I crying for attention? But I don't think that's Von's perspective. Like I said, when you do different things, it just shows you're in a different space. And right now, Von, he feels young and he feels renewed, and he's going to be terrorizing QBs this year.
You mentioned it, Bradley Chubb, Von, we're getting that pass rushing duo back. What do you think is a reasonable expectation for those two this season?
20 plus sacks. It really should be. And that should be the minimum. You know, Bradley Chubb came in rookie year, 12 sacks, and then he gets banged up last year with the ACL. We've seen Von unstoppable. So that combination with the complementary players that are on that defense, those guys should be in the 20-plus range easy.
Yeah, they're going to be a fun duo to watch this season for sure. All right, last question for you, Nate. I've been told you're getting into coaching a little bit. I hear you joined the coaching staff where your sons play. So I have to ask, how's that going?
It's good. It's good. I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm the varsity wide receivers coach. I've always been a parent that helped out, and I didn't want to step on the coach's toes, but I have a passion for it. I just don't like the hours. I will say this, though. After coaching these young teenagers that are scatterbrained, that are as cocky as I don't know what, and they're just absolute goofballs, I have a different level of respect for NFL coaches. I was talking to Anthony Lynn, the coach of the Chargers, earlier today, and I said, because I coach teenagers, and I know firsthand that young NFL players are just grown teenagers with millions of dollars, I can appreciate you because you not only have to manage egos, you have to manage the posses they hang out with, you have to manage the goofball, the silent ones, the shy ones, the ones with the dry humor. I definitely appreciate head coaches because they're not just X's and O's guys. They're therapists, they're teachers, they're master motivators. So I've learned a lot just in these few months as a head coach or a varsity coach in high school.
Well, appreciate you, Nate. Thanks for taking the time to chat today. And Broncos Country, make sure to tune into Nate's interview with Von, T.Y. Hilton, and Chris Godwin. That's going to be this Sunday on CBS at 12 p.m. Mountain Time.